Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Listen, gonna talk for a minute about Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. You know, I have a channel. You guys probably, if you're on here, you probably know my channel for Financial Turmoil Explained and also the Delta Report. I've talked about Kim Jong-un for a long time and North Korea and how their buildup of nuclear armaments. Well, here's the thing. About a year, maybe a year and a half ago on my channel, I was talking, and they were upset. Every time he'd launch a missile, they were talking about going in and doing a first strike or whatever on North Korea and stuff, and they were all upset about North Korea. Every time he'd do a missile launch, about a year and a half ago. Now, this last week, he's done a missile launch again. And now they're saying, hey, it's great. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. What's the difference? What's changed? What's changed? I'll tell you what's changed. He's played all of us. Back when he was doing those missile launches a year and a half or 2 years ago, we could have done something about it because he only had about 6 thermonuclear weapons, maybe 8. He didn't have that many. You could probably count them on your hands how many he had. Thermonuclear weapons. But according to what I hear, he's built a dozen more. He needed time to build those weapons. And that's how he played us. All that peace stuff. Oh, let's have peace. And hugging everybody. And walking hand in hand down the road in North Korea with President Trump, the first president to go into North Korea and everything else. And all this peace stuff. He was buying time. Now, add the 6, maybe say 6 weapons he had before. And 12 more. Now he's got like 18. Right? And you know what that means? That means you can't touch him anymore. Because more than likely, he'll get 1 or 2 of them in the air. It means the first strike's probably out of the question at this point. You probably can't touch him. And he knows it. Everybody knows it. They're just not talking about it. And meanwhile, he's building more. More and more and more. So, the North Korean problem, now you pretty much got to accept the fact that Kim Jong-un has got what he needs, what he wanted. You know, he's got a big red button on his desk now. So that's pretty much over. Now let's talk about Ebola for a minute. You know, there's a city over there. It's got like 2 million people in it, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And we've had 3 or 4 Ebola cases in there. First guy a few weeks ago come down with it. And here's the thing. This is how it works. When a person comes down with Ebola in a heavily populated area, they have to try to track down each and every single person that he came in contact with. Right? If they miss one person, and that one person gets out into the population, they might talk to 20 different people. They might expose 20 different people. To that one person can expose 20 different people. Then they go off and they talk to 20 different people. Each one of those people. They have to try to stop it before it gets in the general population and starts to spread too far. Because once it gets in the general population, and there's too many cases of it, and those people are talking to other people, talking to other people. Once it gets too far and they can't track down everybody, you can't track down 1 million people and quarantine them all. So right now it's just small. There's 4 or 5 people, and they're trying to contact every person that they came in contact with, and they're trying to quarantine each and every person. Let's hope they succeed, because if it gets loose in Goma, to where they can't control it, in other words, it gets into the general population in Goma, it could spread through the city like a flu. What that means basically is there's between 1 and 2 million people there. And if it spreads through the population of that whole city like a flu, they've got an international airport there too. We're going to have to wait the next month or so, or I think it's 26 days or something like that, to find out if they're able to stop it in Goma. Because if they're not able to stop it in Goma, this could escalate out of control, and the numbers could go up drastically to the point where it makes the last epidemic of Ebola look small. Because I think the last was, 10,000 or something, 20,000? Anyway, this one could just explode into millions, just in that one city alone. And people travel from that city. They'll travel to other cities. This is bad if they're not able to stop it in Goma. We're going to have to watch the situation there very, very carefully. Doing this show for a little update for you guys. There's also a situation in Taiwan. They're purchasing arms from the United States. China is fed up. China is ready to go and march in there and kick, what? I mean, but it's not going to be a pushover. Taiwan's got 225,000 troops, and the U.S. is selling them arms, and they have a resistance evidently in there against China, and China's no way. China's like, no way. China's getting very mad about that area around the South China Sea. Now, America says, okay, we have freedom of navigation. We do not recognize those artificial islands the Chinese built in the South China Sea. We don't recognize them as being real because they weren't there before. And we're going to sail through there with freedom of navigation anytime we want to. And the Chinese have said, no, we are claiming this area as ours. Now the Chinese are moving military equipment into these regions. China's becoming, as this trade war continues, China's becoming more and more aggressive. Now moving over to Ukraine, they seized a Russian ship. Russians are very mad. Russians said, there's going to be repercussions from this. Now, there's already been a war going on between Russian separatists that live in eastern Ukraine against the Ukraine government. It's been ongoing, I think, since 2014. Now, a lot of people have died in this war. It's not really Russia against Ukraine, but Russia, just on the other side of the border there, from Ukraine, they've brought troops in. And they've trained these troops in a exercise that was done in 2018 that was called Zapad 2018. In this exercise, they did mock battles and trained the Russian troops to fight against NATO. And now they've stationed troops there, right at the border of Ukraine, ready to advance into Ukraine. Okay, so this is a hotbed situation. Ukraine is not a member state of NATO. NATO has a lot of interest in Ukraine, but it's not a member state of NATO. So if the Russians were to move into Ukraine, because they're not a NATO member state, it wouldn't automatically be a World War III situation. It wouldn't be automatic because it's not a member state. But if the Russians pushed into Poland, or if they pushed into Romania, then it would be big time. It would turn into a battle against... But they've trained for that. Shows you intent on their part. Russia's becoming very aggressive. So is China. Russians and Chinese are working together now to try to destroy the United States dollar. It's doing nothing less than trying to destroy the United States dollar. And they're working very hard at it. So these are some of the situations that's going on, the dynamic in the world right now. The world seems like it's growing more angry lately. These situations in the world, hopefully these dark clouds will pass over us soon, and the nations will settle down and not be so angry, hopefully. Meanwhile, we've got situations in the financial system that are ready to erupt. So I'm going to tell you guys straight up front, in a couple more years I'll be 60. And, I'm not 60 yet, but I'm getting up close to it, And all the time I've been alive, till now, I've never seen the world in such a situation. But the funny part about it all is it doesn't seem like the world is really all that bad right now. If you're not following these stories very carefully, it seems like everything's normal. It seems like nothing's going on. Everything's just the way it's always been. That's the way it seems. If you're not really following these stories, But if you are following these stories, well, you should have your hair on the back of your neck standing up. Because right now, President Trump has just taken they had a non-nuclear proliferation treaty or whatever treaty, a nuclear treaty. He's just done away with it. And now they can build all the nukes they want. Both sides. And a lot of people don't even know that just happened. But that makes this situation that we have right now more dangerous than the Cold War. More dangerous than the Cold War. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe over to my other channel, Financial Turmoil Explained, or the Delta Report. I've been suffering through about 2 or 3 weeks now of the hottest weather I've ever seen in Nova Scotia. It feels more like South Texas or something, except with humidity. I've had to basically until about 5 o'clock every evening or 6 o'clock every evening. I have to run the air conditioner and stay inside. It's just so hot out. You can get heat stroke, And then this time of the evening, it starts to cool off a little bit, and I can go outside and try to get a few things done. But then mosquitoes come out. What a summer. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.